hands, who here has been to a Redken class before? Okay, yay, well welcome. I'm so glad that you're here. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your schedule to come to this Redken class, and I think you're going to learn a lot. My name is Megan Gepner, and I am a full-time hairstylist in Lake Stevens, Washington, and I'm also a Redken artist, so I'm really glad that you're here today. And we're going to be talking a little bit about Redken lighteners, but mainly we're going to be touching creative color and balayage. So before we get started, I just want to take a minute to just ask you, what are your expectations out of balayage? What are you wanting to get out of this class? With your permission, I'm just going to write expect. Okay. So what are you here for?
Technique, I guess.
Okay, so you want to know a little bit more about the techniques when it comes to balayage and creative freehand coloring.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay, technique. And let's just have one.
Color options?
Okay, so some different like formula options as far as when we're doing some balayage colors, is that what you're thinking?
Yeah.
Okay, so let's write formulas and make sure that we just touch base on that. Okay, so I also just wanted to kind of reiterate, just to have everybody turn off their cell phones before we really dive into the class. And also, I wanted to let you guys know that if you need to use the restroom, just feel free. It's right down the hall. Turn right. And also, I want you to be open and eager to learn, and just open to the idea of having new creative techniques and just branching out from maybe what you're used to doing. So does that sound good to everyone?
Yeah.
Okay, yay. All right, so let's talk about balayage. What is balayage? What have you heard about it?
It's kind of like painting through the hair,
Mhm.
your color in that way.
Yeah, so balayage, there's lots of different ways that you can do balayage, but really what it is it's a French word for sweep. So we can just look at it as sweeping the color onto the hair. So I'm just going to write sweep. I'm going to write French. Okay. So when and who would we balayage it?
I've used it for clients who didn't come in as often and were worried about roots showing.
Okay, yeah. So maybe if we have a client that is new to color and not quite ready for that commitment, so like a lower commitment client that we still want to do color on. Okay, so if I spell a word wrong, it's because I'm creative. You can't spell a word more than only one way without being creative, so just forgive me now. And also, I think that as far as balayage goes, another really good client that sometimes we forget about is it's really for that trendy client, somebody who's wanting the newest thing, because we're seeing a lot of that natural stuff going on. So don't rule out your clients that do come in every 4 weeks, but they just like to see those like latest and greatest trends and something that's really fun and funky and different. So I think that that's a really good time when we could do like that ombre technique that we're seeing. So I'm just going to go ahead and put trendy. Another good time to balayage or to do that ombre hair color technique, or what we at Redken call illumination technique, would be to do low lights. So if we're going to, like we have Redken's new Shades and Hue cream color, which if you have any questions, I'd love to touch on that if we get a chance at the end of the class. But it's low lighting and using our Cover Fusion or some of our cream-based color lines. So that's another time that is really great for balayage. So I'm going to go ahead and put low lights. Okay, so I'm just going to underline these because so that you guys can really see that. So we've got trendy, we've got low commitment, and we've got low lights. So what else? What about like a first time color person? Would that be a good option? Yeah, because it's something that maybe if they've never had highlights before, just sweeping a few highlights around their face can be a good option for them. It's not going to scare them too much. So let's just write over here in blue. First time. And then I'm just going to underline that so that you can see it. Okay. So the other big question about balayage is how. How do we do it? So what kind of questions have you been having about balayage that concerned you about how to do it?
One thing that I was thinking of was like bleeding, and how do you keep that from happening, getting too big of an area or something that you're not going for.
Okay. So I know that because we only have you in the classroom, but just so that you know, that is a question that everybody has, and always would be when I would say, who else is big concern about bleeding? And you'd see the whole entire room raise their hand. So I think that that's a really good question and concern. So we'll talk about that. And one of the things when I say how is basically that's when we're going to get into application and just making sure that we really have the proper application process as we're putting it on, the right amount of product and all that sort of thing. So we're just going to talk about application when we talk about how. So, and then also just with Redken, we have 3 really great techniques that are good for that. And so we're going to talk about different brushes to use. So we'll talk about brushes. And then we'll also talk about possibly using a board or a comb to balayage. Have you ever heard of using a board or a comb? Okay. So let's talk about that. And then I didn't leave a lot of room, so I'm just going to write right here in little thing, back combing. And that's another really great technique to use, especially like you were saying, being afraid of bleeding. Back combing kind of gives you a cushion so that that hair won't fall onto the hair that it's underneath. So I'll show you how to do that too. Okay, so we've got a lot to cover today. So I'm just going to underline this stuff in purple so that you can really see it. We've got back combing, we've got some application techniques, and maybe using a board or a comb and some different brushes that we can balayage with. So before we really get started with the technique, let's talk about what you're seeing right now that's hot. So what do you guys think? What are you seeing out there?
Yeah, I agree with a lot of the pictures that you have. You know, feathers are really huge right now. A lot of like braids and kind of beachy curls.
So yeah, right now I just put up a few pictures that have really been inspiring me lately. Like I would say, wouldn't you guys say organic? Would you agree with that word as being something that we're seeing a lot of right now? Okay, so I'm going to get a new pen. What about also, when when we think of feathers, we think of kind of bohemian. So that's another thing that's really with the braid, long loose waves. So I'm going to write just boho, if that's okay. You guys kind of have the idea of what that is. And more natural hair colors. So like that ombre look, where it's dark, gradually going to light. That's kind of what ombre hair color is. It's anytime it goes from dark all the way to light. So, or not even necessarily dark at the roots and light on the bottom. It could be anything. It could just be going basically from one color to the next. And that's something that we can achieve through balayage. Would you guys agree?
Yeah.
Okay. So let's put ombre or what do you think of the word illumination? Isn't that a pretty cool word for describing ombre? Okay, so let's say illumination. Okay. Let's think of one more thing. What about maybe, oh, you said beachy. Okay, we didn't add that. Let's put beachy. Just put the swat on here. Put that right in the very end. Okay, so today I'm going to show you guys a technique that you really can achieve through any different type of formula or hair color. You can make it as dark or as dramatic as you want, or you can have it as light and as natural as you want. Basically, any of the hair colors that you see here, you can achieve through this technique. But sometimes for me, I know that I learn better and I'm able to apply it in the salon better when I actually have a system, so that I can go back and say, okay, this is how I'm going to do it. Because balayage can be very organic, very natural, and there's lots of different ways to do it, but when we actually set it up and give you some sections and ways to apply this color, then you can use it and go and be as creative as you want with it, mixing up with the formulas and that sort of thing. So does that sound good?
Yeah.
Yeah? Okay. So let's start out by, I'm just going to go ahead and show you each step as far as just sectioning off this color so that we can get going on it. So this mannequin is just an example of the color that we're going to be doing today. So with her, I went with some fun reds just so that you could see that balayage isn't necessarily just with blondes. It's not necessarily with dark hair colors, but it can be with anything. So as you can see, she has a lot of really pretty dark roots. And then you can see a lot of lighter colors coming towards the end, kind of like that illumination technique that we've been talking about. But there's a system to it. You can see that there's sections going on throughout the hair. And that way, when we go back to the salon, we're going to be able to recreate it. We're not going to forget what we learned here today. So does that sound exciting?
Yeah.
All right, so I'm going to bring this over here to show you. Oops, sorry, excuse me. And I'm just going to grab some clips really